but that's interesting that religion always becomes about money, because if you look at like most of the religions, like even Hinduism, I was revisiting the Upanishads recently, and there's the story of Najikitas, who was his father gave up all his possessions because he came from like a rich family, and then he learned about not being caught in the material wealth, or like the material pleasures, and having like the deeper spiritual wealth with that. And it was the same with the Buddha, like he gave up all his possessions and went, and then Jesus Christ says, give up your possessions,
Right.
and blessed are the poor, and it's harder for a rich man to go into heaven instead.
Right.
That one line he says, yeah. So like that's why it's always interesting that it's like it's monetized in that way, kind of, because I feel like a lot of spirituality speaks against like the material.
Absolutely. That's a big spiritual journey. You'll find that in almost all cultures. Once you realize that there's more to this world than just having and having more and having more and having more. That's a really big deal. Even in the case of Jesus, I mean, I think that most of that's fictionalized, but I don't know if it's true or not. But in the story, he was a carpenter, and at the time that meant he was a mason. So he had a really good union job. I mean, he was like, it was like being like a level A guy with local 3, So I mean, like he was making a lot of money, and he gave that up to become a rabbi. So, and then he started seeing the horrific nature of the temples and how they were all money based, and that's why he said, "Listen, that's which eventually got him killed." But he wanted temple reform. He wasn't looking to make a new religion. That's what he wanted. But that's a common theme, and I think that it really is important. One of the things that always drew me to Wicca. Now there are people who set up Wiccan churches and things like that. They're just out to get money. They're not true believers. They're just using the name. But there's no I don't have to pay anyone. I mean, I'm 24 years in, and I haven't paid a dime. I mean, if someone writes a book, I'll buy a book, because that's supporting an author. But I do that with fiction, so it doesn't matter. It makes a difference to me. But I'm not required to do that. There's no requirements whatsoever except don't proselyte, don't evangelize the faith, which is a big thing. Never spread it, and just never harm anyone. I mean, I think that's that's how every faith should be stripped down. Don't hurt anybody.
Yeah, do unto others as you want done to yourself.
Right. Precisely. Yeah. And that's the whole of the law. And it's a very important thing, and that's what drew me to it. And I said, this is definitely for me. I gave it a year, and I asked the gods that I believe in, and I said, listen, you guys got to show me. If I'm going to believe in this, you got to show me whenever I need reassurance. You got to show me something physical, because that's the only way I'm going to believe this. And damned if every single time I asked didn't show up. I mean, the craziest things. And I'm like, inexplicable things, and after a while I just said, okay, I get the point. I'm with it. I'm with you for life. And I never looked back, and I never regretted it.
Yeah. And I think that religion, like when people pray to different gods, like it's kind of all accessing the same, it's invoking the same energy, but like it manifests in different ways. Like I've chanted to Lord Ganesh and like some other Hindu gods, and I've definitely like he's supposed to be the remover of obstacles, and I felt like through chanting his name, like a lot of my anxiety's gone away, and I feel like a lot of the obstacles that were in myself have kind of gone away. And other people, I have friends who are like Christian and Muslim and stuff like that, and they've talked about praying and having that like certain things work out their way because they prayed. And I always think like that's kind of invoke like the same kind of energy, just like in a different way.
Right. It could ultimately be that there's only one reality. There was, it's believed there was one spark that set off everything in the universe. So there could be one reality behind that. Chances are it's probably true. There's only one, or a reality that's so complex we can't understand it. It's why we make up different religions, because it's just what speaks best to us. And because the complexities of, when you think about everything, life, the universe, and everything, right? Go back to sci-fi. It's the things that create physics and light and the planets and life and joy and emotion and love. I mean, all those things, I don't know what kind of system can create all those things. I can't conceive of that, and no one can. So we give it names, and that should be enough. That should be enough. And ultimately, we may all be talking about the exact same thing. I think you have a very good point. It's probably all the same thing, the same intent, the same place, the same notion. It's just worded differently or looks different, but it's probably all the same thing.
Yeah, and maybe everybody's belief is kind of true for them. Like wherever they believe, they go. Where they die, they go. Yeah.
Could very possibly be. And my faith preaches reincarnation, which I wholeheartedly believe in. So I know that I'm just running around in this shell for this life, and as soon as I'm done, I'm something else. What that is, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Because I really can't piece what I was before. But that's the only thing that makes sense to me. That's what speaks to me. So I'm not going to have a heaven. I'm not going to have anything like this. But I'm going to have a series of lives. And I hope that, the concept is you try to do a little bit better with each one until ultimately there is nirvana. I'm speaking of, so.
Yeah. Like sort of making the heaven on earth, like through the...
Right. Or just heaven throughout the galaxies. I mean, or throughout all of creation. I may be reincarnated by, as something on a planet, 800 light years from now.
Yeah. Writing a sci-fi about Earthlings or something.
Exactly, making these crazy things that used to be apes and now they're people, and it's like, the hell are you writing about? Evolution. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, and they're on these iPhone things. What's that?
Yeah, these little phones, and it's that's stupid. Yeah. So who knows? I don't know. I'm open to the ideas, but I have no idea. No idea.
Well, we definitely give the audience a lot of deep things to think about. So
again, I hope so. I hope so,
yeah.
brother. I hope so.
Yeah.